The atonement being made, the blessings have been procured, and now they can be bestowed and poured forth upon the redeemed. This is the truth, whether we think of Abel's lamb, of patriarchal sacrifices, the offerings under the law, or of that great sacrifice of which they all testified. They all with one voice tell us that atonement made is the only foundation of blessing. This was pictured and foreshown in the heavens from the beginning by a man pouring forth water from an urn which seems to have an inexhaustible supply and which flows forth downwards into the mouth of a fish, which receives it and drinks it all up. In some Eastern zodiacs, the urn alone appears. This agrees with its other names, Hebrew deli, the water urn, or bucket, as in Numbers 24 verse 7. The Arabic delu is the same. There are 108 stars in this sign, 4 of which are of the third magnitude. Their names, as far as they have come down to us, are significant. The star Alpha, in the right shoulder, is called Sa'ad al-Melek, which means the record of the pouring forth. The star Beta, in the other shoulder, is called Sa'ad al-Sund, who goeth and returneth, or the pourer out. The bright star Delta, in the lower part of the right leg, is well known today by its Hebrew name Shet, which means who goeth and returneth. The bright star in the urn has an Egyptian name Mon or Mion, which means simply an urn. Aquarius is the modern Latin name by which the sign is known. It has the same meaning, the pourer forth of water. Can we doubt what is the interpretation of this sign? The Greeks, not knowing him of whom it testified, were, like the woman of Samaria, destitute of that living water which he alone can give. They therefore invented some story about Deucalion, the son of Prometheus, and another saying he is Ganymede, Jove's cup-bearer. But as an astronomer says, we must account otherwise for the origin of this name, for it is not possible to reconcile the symbols of the 11th sign with Grecian mythology. No, we must go further back than that and not cramp our vision and distort the scriptures by confining our thoughts to the church. The church is nowhere seen in these signs, as she is nowhere revealed in the Old Testament. This we shall enlarge on when we come to the sign Pisces. Meanwhile, we must read the witness of the stars as if there had been no church. Christ is first, yea, he is all in all. The scriptures testify of him, and the very stars in this sign tell of his going away and his coming again. These prophetic signs have to do with him and the atonement he wrought, with the conflict he endured, with the blessings he secured, with the victory he shall win, and the triumph he shall have. For it is written,
He shall pour the water out of his buckets, and his seed shall be in many waters, and his king shall be higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted.
It tells of that glorious day when,
Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land.
It speaks of that glorious time when Israel shall be restored, and their eyes shall see the King in his beauty, when the peace of Zion shall be no more disturbed, but there the glorious Lord will be unto us a place of broad rivers and streams.
The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert. I will open rivers in high places, and fountains in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water, and the dry land springs of water. Thus saith the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob my servant, and thou Jeshurun whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessing upon thine offspring. Thus saith the Lord, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, I am the first, and I am the last, and beside me there is no God.
This is the meaning of the sign. The man, Christ Jesus, who was humbled in death, will yet be seen to be the pourer forth of every blessing. physically pouring forth literal waters, removing the curse and turning this world into a paradise.
For the Lord shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places, and he will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of the Lord,
and morally pouring forth his Spirit in such abundance as to fill the whole earth with peace and blessing and glory, as the waters cover the sea. Upon Israel restored, he will pour out his blessing.
And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my Spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions.
Such are some of the scriptures which tell of this glorious water pourer. We need not rob Christ of his glory or Israel of her blessing in order to see in all this Pentecost or the church. These are quite independent of the great line of prophetic truth. They are parenthetical and distinct and true, quite apart from the glorious prophecies of Israel's scattering and gathering. The physical marvels referred to in the text above can never be satisfied or exhausted by any spiritual fulfillment. We may make an application of them as far as is consistent with the teaching of the epistles, but the interpretation of them belongs to the person of Christ and the nation of Israel. That interpretation is pictured for us in the sign and in its 3 constellations.